Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. So back on educational videos, and we're now in the mighty Ka-50 Blackshark. This was gifted to me by the public's least favourite member of GR, Stahl. Hello, Stahl.
Hello, Cap.
Oh my God! Look how many. But I hate you. Look how many buttons there are. I want to die.
It's fine. Well, after this, I will also be your least favorite member.
Oh, this is a red. Now we look left. Then we look, and all over the left as well.
You'll learn to love it.
Yeah.
Like your mom.
It's actually really easy to fly out as we discovered it.
Right, so let's get all this documented for everyone then. So the way we do it is we start left. If you look left as far as you can and high as you can, that's where we'd start. And then we'd sweep right and then sweep over the front and then sweep all the way to the right and then up there. So, right, forgive me internet, but we're going to do this. So, let's start with the left, and the highest left thing I can see is lit off, so it's cockpit light.
Cockpit lights, yes.
So it's as simple as that. We're off to a good start, gents. We're going to do this.
Basically, floodlights. All you need for that is your batteries on, so you can actually see something.
Right, if we go down, we've got some kind of plaque. No, it doesn't do anything. Then we've got air vents. They don't really do anything. Then
well, you do have, if you look at the yellow levers, that would be a throttle. It has 3 settings. The bottom one is off. The second one would be a safety mode in case you lose your automatic engine governors. So you're going to burn the engines.
I can't click on them, say. Why can't I click on them?
You move them with page up and page down.
Weird, isn't it? So this is throttle, you're telling me?
That's the yellow one. You basically won't be touching that in flight unless you have an emergency. You're usually going to set it to twice up, which would be the automatic mode, where your automatic engine governors will take care of stuff. And you also do have an emergency mode just in case, for example, you lose an engine or you need to take off with a lot of weight or at very high altitude, which will just, get every last bit of juice out of the engines.
Understood. Okay, that's that. Now there's a gauge on the side. What the bloody hell is that?
That is your APU. You will only be needing it for startup. Underneath that, you will see a big black lever with a knob on the end. That is your rotor brake.
Auto brake? What's an auto brake?
Rotor brake.
Rotor brake.
Rotor.
What doesn't? Why would you have a rotor brake? That sounds.
Because sometimes you need the fucking thing to stop spinning after you shut down.
Right, so it's just on and off, is it?
Yeah, so down would be your rotor brake off, basically. Above that, the 2 big red levers, those are your engine cutoff valves. You will need to open those when you're starting up your engines.
So are they just on or off again? Open. What, these fuel valves? Fuel valves, I'm guessing?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
They are engine shut-off valves.
Understood. Yeah, but why do you need such a big, huge lever? Why can't the buttons suffice there? That annoys me, guys. Anyway.
It's probably to make sure that nothing accidentally slides out.
Should we carry on up the dash and ignore the collective for now? The collective was complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, the collective is mostly non-clickable anyway. All these things you will have to bind to your HODAS. So if you move forward from the engine cutoff valves, you have directly in front a panel which is basically all about your weapon and targeting.
Okay.
So you have the 4 buttons which are in a square are basically when you're well, one of them is auto turn. It will, when you auto hover, automatically turn your helicopter towards a current target.
Okay.
So you have 2 different AE modes. One is A head-on and just generally A, which is used for your VICA, so it will actually use a proximity fuse instead of waiting for impact. And the last one is moving ground target, so you track a target that is moving. The train button next to it is just to engage training mode, so you're not going to actually fire any weapons when you do that.
Roger.
K041 is for nav and targeting systems power. HMS is your helicopter mounted sight.
Yep.
AT is automatic tracking of your gun sight, and LES is your laser power. Reset basically just resets all your targeting modes.
Roger. What about the turning thing?
Honestly, I forgot what exactly that does.
It says cannon.
So it's a basic wasted weapon system mode, I believe.
Very much.
Okay, fine. Take your word for that. Okay, now let's go up. This looks like an IFF panel next. Can you confirm, Sean?
Well, the Ka-50 doesn't really have IFF. Yeah, it's radio. It does have IFF, but it's not modeled in DCS.
Oh, it's a radio.
So,
This is a radio with the orange turny things. Is that
exactly? With the orange turny thing, you can set your radio frequency, and in front of that, you have several different settings which will allow you to use AM or FM. Guard, so emergency mode, basically. ADF is your automatic direction finder, and SQ stands for squelch, so you don't have a lot of background noise. To the right of that, you will find your engine startup panel. Actually, still, but the radio. If you look at the bottom right of that, the black turn knob will switch between different radios, and you also have to use that when you're trying to talk to your ground crew.
Roger.
While you're on the ground with engines on and doors closed, and you just switch it all the way to the right.
Roger.
In front of that, engine start panel. So start obviously starts your engines. You choose whether you want to start the APU or your left-right engine with the big white lever. The stop button is to abort an engine start in case there's something wrong. APU shutoff should be fairly self-explanatory, and the start crank, and false start is basically, well, you're going to use false start if you want to diagnose whether there's something wrong with your engine, and you're going to use the crank after that, or in case you flooded your engine, to empty it out of fuel.
Roger. Gear lever next, it looks like.
Yep. To the left of that, you also have a switch which is emergency. It basically just switches the gear system between the two different hydraulics. You have main and common hydraulics, in case you lose one of them.
Roger. So next we've got a clock, and this is a very nice looking clock. Look at all the gauges on it. Very accurate as well. Okay, hang on, have we got adjusters? There is... No, I can't adjust it. Can't adjust it.
Can't adjust it.
They are both there, and they are both... Yeah, definitely adjust mine.
Alright, mine's having a moment, but okay, that's fair enough. Alright, let's not dwell on that. Above the clock we have, what is that, main engine RPM?
That is actually your rotor RPM.
Rotor RPM times
Yes.
10, so up to 100 RPMs.
It's percent, I believe max RPM will be close to 20,000.
Well,
Also, it could be the engine. One of the two. That's like 19,500 max RPM.
Sounds
Given
like
that it's a
engine.
turbo shaft, the engine should have the same RPM.
I doubt they can turn those blades at 20,000 RPM, chaps. That would be like super hypersonic. Anyway, it's not important. That's percent of the rotor. That's fair. Let's go up again. Radar altimeter in meters, question mark.
Fairly self-explanatory, yes.
And we can test, and we can put this... what does the yellow triangle indicate?
That's basically the safe altitude you set it to when it will start whining at you.
Roger, I like that. Right, next a switch which says inoperable.
Yeah, that is non-functional. It basically is a laser countermeasure system, so if you would get lased for ATGMs or something like that, this is supposed to do something against that, but it's not implemented.
On the left, is that a master caution?
Yes.
Well, technically you have two warning lights there. The one on the left is actually your rotor RPM warning push light. It's white and has this kind of zebra stripe thing. The actual master caution is to the top right of that. It's the vertical red one.
Oh, the vertical red one. So this is master caution, which you can reset. What about the little round light in between the two rectangle ones?
That says land test.
Yes.
Right, that's just that, and that doesn't work because we've got no battery on. Right, let's go to the next one, which is a G something something. It must.
Yeah, it's a G meter, and basically the red needles will tell you max and max G's both ways. Basically, you've had.
You can't pull G's in a helicopter, Star.
You can pull G's in a helicopter.
That's not how physics works, Cap.
I pressed the button and all the needles went back to 1. That was a weird thing to happen.
Yeah, it's
If
the
you
reset
reset
button.
it, it's to track it over the course of a flight, so you know
Roger.
you've hit this XG.
Oh, that's cool. And yes, because we're under 1G at the moment. That makes sense. Well done. This helicopter is very thorough. If there's one thing about this helicopter, it's very thorough. Okay, next. Airspeed in kilometers per hour indicated?
Yes, kph, and this indicator is indicated airspeed, while on your HUD you will find ground speed.
Oh, great. We're HUD as well. Brilliant. Right, okay, fine. Next down, and a barometric altimeter, is that?
Yes. And also just that with the knob on the bottom left, you'll see you can set the QFE.
And then we've got the QFE, that's fine. Okay, next, blade angle in degrees. Now, there's no
Yeah,
such
that's
thing
just
as...
the blade pitch, basically.
Okay, is it just passive? It just tells you what it's set to then? You can't change it?
Yes, you know, you change your blade pitch with your collective, that's what that tells you.
Alright, down and right. Reset LA. Is this... What's all this to do
Okay,
with?
so for that we'll have to look at the switch that's right next to it, which is your norm and standby switch for the laser. That's actually a translation
You're
error.
right. That's actually launch authorized, the Russian code.
Launch author... Reset. Right.
Yeah, this is kind of badly translated here. Basically, the left-right switch next to it sets your laser from range-finding mode, which is also used for the Vickers, to laser designation mode. So standby should really be designate or something like that, and reset LA is for reset the laser while you're lasing. So you can just, quit lasing, then you will have less of a cooldown afterward.
Alright, then we go north, and we've got HSI, Horizontal Situation Indicator, what I think is a glorified compass, so it is a compass, but there is lots more to it that I've never really understood. Anyone want to tackle that?
Yeah, so usual thing.
Yeah, you have your the yellow thingy would be your next waypoint, I believe. The fat yellow thingy around the edge that is. The yellow needle is when you're using your automatic direction finder, which is basically directional beacons for the Russians. You can also set.
It's also got distances as well.
Yes, it'll tell you your bearing and range from a waypoint. A lot of HSIs do that.
Exactly.
Roger, but you never use this because you got it all on the HUD, haven't you?
Yes and no. Sometimes it's good to have a backup.
Roger, noted.
And the white double needle basically will show you how to get back on course if you have a planned course line, rather than just direct heading to your next waypoint.
Roger. Okay, that's fine. Above that...
Oh, actually, also, one last thing. In the middle, there's two white lines that will also either show the direction you're supposed to go to for your next waypoint, or if you're moving in a hover, if you're drifting.
Roger, noted. Okay. Right. Artificial horizon, if we go north, I'm guessing that's what that is, so it tells you the pitch and the roll and whatnot of your aircraft, and we've got a test, so we can test it, beep. And we've got...
Yes, this is the primary artificial horizon. You also have a backup one.
Give me strength.
Backup one is shit though.
I've also got an adjuster for pitch. That doesn't seem to do anything, but I guess it just calibrates it slightly. Because you can adjust them, can't you? And it's got a yaw indicator as well. No, a slip gauge as well, just below. Appears to be. How interesting. Next, climb gauge. So it tells you how fast you're climbing or sinking and what meters per second.
Exactly.
Arguably your most important instrument in a helicopter.
Yep. Agree with that. That's because as soon as that needle starts going down at any increment, then you're going to crash. VRS, blah blah blah. Okay, next, warning lights or indicator lights up above?
Warning lights. Most of your indicator lights, although also mixed in with warning lights, are in your overhead panel if you look up there.
Roger, excellent. Right, we're just going to go to the HUD. We're not going to turn the HUD on and look at all the stuff because that's for another video, but this is obviously the HUD. There's a lever on the left of the HUD. Was ist das?
It's a good
I believe that puts up the sun glare shield.
Okay, there you go, simple as that. Okay, like I said, we'll go over the HUD another day. We'll go up on the paper afterwards, so we'll carry on with...
Actually, if you look at the base of the HUD, there's a brightness knob that is actually turnable, a test thing, and settings mode for day, night, and grid, which is your World War II archaic sight.
Okay, so that is actually relatively simple, so this just adapts the HUD. Okay, next, big screen. What's big screen called? Is it Schwal?
The center one is a Schwal, yes, this is basically a targeting system.
I'm guessing this is going to be something similar to the Su-25.
In fact, it is very
Yes,
similar to
although...
Thank God.
Yeah, so the system is almost exactly the same, although arguably the housing is more similar to the MiG-27, I'd argue.
Okay, it looks like it's going to have problems with sun glare, but I'll worry about that later. Right, let's go below and slightly to the left. DH, DTA manual. Do you guys see that?
Oh yeah, that still belongs to the HSI. That's whether you want to set your desired heading, and desired track angle to auto manual.
Understood. And now if we go under the Schwal, we've got what appears to be weapons information.
Armaments panel.
Oh, is it a master on top left, I'm guessing? Yep.
Exactly. Master arm on the top left, to the right of that, where it's a store, it would usually give you a letter combination which will tell you what you got loaded there. Remain stands for how much you have of it, and rounds is your ammo counter for the main gun. Above that you will see a little aircraft symbol, so I believe it's actually below the stores you will see yellow lights if something is there, and when you have them selected you will see green lights pop up above.
Understood. Then let's go down on the left. We've got, what's this?
Yeah, the big black button is not implemented. I believe that would be to drop air-to-air missiles, which the Ka-50 does not actually get in DCS.
Roger.
The red one is for external stores jettison. The one to the right is if you jettison weapons to arm or not arm them. One to the right, still ATGM jettison will jettison your Vickers. It will just basically dumbfire them very quickly. The row of switches underneath is manual or automatic weapons firing mode, so that's basically your launch authority override. Then to the right of that you have your burst length selector, short, medium or long. To the right of that for your main gun, your ammo selector, API or HE. And then your fire rate selector, low or high fire rate.
Roger. Next, TV black. What's this all about, gentlemen?
Yeah, so this one will basically just switch the indication on your Skval between black and white, and then you have, brightness knobs for your HMS, for your TV. To the bottom left, the 1, 2, 3 switch, that's actually a laser code. HUD declutter will just remove some things from your HUD to make it easier to see stuff. And the knob to the very right is actually supposed to be filters for the Skval for different weather settings. That's sadly not implemented, but you can play with the contrast and the brightness, which will help a lot during night operations, otherwise you're just blind.
Roger, okay. Does it have these brightness knobs in the 25? I've never had brightness been able to play with it.
In the what?
I'd have to go to that. In the SU-25.
SU-25.
In the 25 they'd all be key bindings anyway.
Key bindings, Roger.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay.
So in the bottom row you will have, your landing lights, which is if you're using the main one, also slewable actually, so it's kind of a searchlight.
Roger.
The switch to the right of that, switches between main and secondary one.
Roger.
The NDB inner outer, so basically all these non-directional beacons, you can always set 2 of them to one frequency. So one of them will usually be at an airfield, the inner and one the outer beacon. That's how you switch that. And the last 3 buttons and switches on the right, those are for Betty.
Betty!
Yay!
Ingrid.
To make her shut up about the current voice message, make her repeat one, or I'm not sure what the emergency on does actually, to be honest.
Okay, so we've got rudder pedals, vis-a-vis. We've got the control stick. Oh, all kinds of stuff here. So there's a trim knob on the left, I'm guessing.
Yes, I believe that.
Oh, that's not pressable. It's not.
Yeah, no, the stick and the collective are all non-pressable, so you'll have to set those.
Roger.
Yeah, although they are animated for their different functions.
Roger.
That's true.
Okay, so I'd have to set all of these switches up to keybinds and set these switches to keybind and joystick binds. Okay, so be it. Right, next, let me zoom out. We're going to go down and right. So we've got something in Russian. What's this?
If you mean that switch next to the big screen, that'll be your ABRIS on and off switch. The ABRIS being that big screen on the right.
Whoa, this is modern. What's this?
Yes, it's great. It's basically a moving map system, also used for targeting. Has a lot of functions. You might actually want to consider doing a separate video on that because it's really complicated.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I need to know. So this is...
It's equivalent to an A10's computer.
Oh, God. So this is the ABRIS thing. And what kind of time period was the Ka-50 operational? What years? What generation?
Late 80s, early 90s.
Yep, that's about what it feels. Okay, let's go up. Now, Sherman always remembers, and I always forget, the thing that's up above the ABRIS, not the...
the Ekran.
What does it do? I've forgotten.
If you mean the little screen, that's basically just a warning panel. It's your Ekran system, which is a warning system, also connects to your voice warning system.
Okay,
to the right of that, you have your backup ADI, which is kind of shite. It keeps getting stuck, so you'll have to pretty much regularly reset it during flight.
Sweet, that's nice. Okay, there's that. Right, down and right. What's this? Run, stop, test.
Yeah, so basically there's the test buttons for the gauge that's right underneath, which is your engine exhaust gas temperature gauge.
So what do we got
here?
Yeah,
now you'll note there's 2 of them because this thing has 2 engines, which I know you like in helicopters.
Yes, that helps capitalize. Engine gas, exhaust gas temperature times 100, that's fine. 600 being the max, probably, it looks like. Percent of RPM, though that is the engine percent RPM.
So that's your engine RPM, exactly. With 2 needles again.
2 needles.
And underneath that you have your fuel gauge. Again, 2 fuel tanks, one on the front, one on the rear.
And what's kilograms, I imagine? 700 kilograms in each tank.
Yes, times 100 kilograms.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool. Right, let's work away on this horrific looking panel on the right. Oh, give me strength, Lord. Where do we start on
Panel or the
this?
lower one?
Should we go lower? It looks slightly less no, upper because... Oh, let's go.
Alright, so we'll start with the upper panel then. At the very top you have, I believe, that's an electrical voltmeter, right?
No, that's actually your engine power meter.
Engine power
And
meter.
It goes from 5 to 2.
Yeah, it's okay.
So basically the yellow needles will show your left and right engine power. If you move to the right from there, as it reads, it's the fire extinguisher system. You have fire extinguishers for your left and right engine as well as your APU and something else. You will have 2 fire extinguishing bottles you can use up, but if you want to use the second one, you gotta switch the auto and man switch to the manual mode. The first one should ideally be used automatically and if it doesn't, you can press these big red buttons here basically.
Roger. So that's fire extinguisher system. Next we've got OPA.
Yeah, that's also for your fire extinguisher system. That's just to turn it off or set it into test mode.
Okay, we've got warn and off.
Yeah, that's about your fire warnings, and the other thing is some kind of not implemented test switch for your fire extinguishers.
Right,
They are actually clickable, but they're basically just bits built in tests.
okay.
Well, that test tier 2 and tier 3 and such are not clickable.
Then we've got a horrendous bunch of ladder gauges. So we've got
Yeah,
oil.
well, it's basically
Pressure and temperature.
Right,
exactly for your engine and gearbox.
right, kilograms. So we've got left engine, right engine, gearbox. We've got oil temperature. Oh, I see, pressure and temperature. So somehow we've got to keep an eye on them. Okay, that's annoying. Right, that's next. It is gearbox oil press man left right. What the fuck is that?
It allows you to manually adjust the oil pressure.
I don't want to do that, German. Bloody hell. Right, okay, fine. External load.
It's selected.
External load. What on earth? They can't carry
That's actually
external
not really implemented. That's for sling loading.
Okay, sling loading. Then a tiny little gauge, V times 10 on the right. There's a lot of helicopters out
That
there.
must be the voltage meter.
Nah, you wouldn't have 3 volts, Sherman.
It's
I
V
think-
times 10.
Oh, right.
But if you look further to the right from that on the rear panel, I believe that's your voltage meter actually.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that. So if anyone knows what this is, I keep seeing it in Russian planes. It's V times 10. We don't think it's volts, because we think that's over there. So someone clever out there needs to tell us, so we get it into our thick head. Okay, the candy type red and white levers. No, that's not anything, is it?
That would probably be an emergency release, but it's not modeled.
Okay, we've got rockets correlation table, like depressions and stuff. There, we've got ADF channels there. How utterly interesting. Right, so let's go and work on the side panel of the right-hand side. So that's below the fire extinguishers. We've got XDC.
Yeah, so basically we're starting here
External power.
with the electric controls. The first one is if you're using external power, which you will hardly ever be doing because the next
Oh
two
my
switches are your batteries, which will be entirely sufficient to start up your helicopter. Next switch also if you're using external AC ground power rather than DC. The next two switches would be your generators and then your inverter, which should generally be in most cases set to auto. If we move to the right on from there, we have a fuel pumps, forward, aft, inner and outer in case you're using external fuel tanks. As well as further to the right, your fuel shutoff valves for both of your engines as well as your APU, and then the X-feed valves, in case you want to cross-feed your fuel.
Hang on, I'm still catching up. So we've got the fuel pumps here, a shed load of them. What does fuel quantity mean? Why would you have a...
That's just power for your fuel gauge.
for
Which,
fuel
oddly
gauge?
enough, does not seem to be required.
External...
Is it not?
I got the external... can it carry fuel tanks? External fuel
Yes,
tanks?
it can. It can carry, potentially up to 4 external fuel tanks if you really want to go far.
So that's what
Yeah,
these are. Fuel
great for a ferry flight.
Okay, next we've got fuel shut-off, so it's pretty simple. Okay, if it was left and right engine, is it? Or left and right tank?
Exactly. Left-right engine, your auxiliary power unit, and then to the right of that is your cross-feed switch, cross-feed valve.
Okay, fair enough. Alright, where should we go next, chaps?
I would suggest you move one row down from there, stick in the left section. Those 6 switches are basically all about radios, intercom, and data links. You'll generally, ideally, just fly with all of them up, see if all your systems are available.
Right, then you'll notice the piece of metal which is red and black, right?
Roger. What's this?
This is the 3 ejection seat arming
Oh
switches.
shit! This is where Cap gets crazy.
Because, we totally need 3 switches to arm an ejection seat in Russia.
Yeah, so I think the basic principle is one arms the actual ejection seat explosive and the other 2 arm the explosives in the rotor, because when you eject, the rotors detonate and fly off the plane so that you don't get chopped into chop suey when you eject.
Cunning. How interesting. What an interesting helicopter. Right, so essentially you want them all up, otherwise you're going to get chopped suey.
Mm-hmm.
Noted. Oh, what about the one on the little one on the right?
That's your weapon control system's power.
Yeah, without that, your master arm won't do jack shit.
God, why is... You've got systems over systems over systems. It's a pain in the arse, this helicopter. Right, let's go to this next right horrific looking panel. Main hide off. Hydraulics, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that switch basically just switches between your main and your backup hydraulics if you need to. The one next to it is your IFF system, which is actually not really implemented.
If you turn that off,
then we have
do you reckon-
navigation.
If they turned it off, would it... Do you reckon that would turn off the
Well,
IFF?
it's
Or would it
off by default, but you don't really have IFF in the Ka-50.
Okay, fine. Nav, what's nav?
That's just navigation system power.
Cab pressure, fine. Schwal wiper?
Yeah, cab pressure's not actually implemented. Well, yeah, your Schwal needs a wiper in case, it's rainy and dirty and there's shit on there.
Wait, we've got to go and find out where the Schwal is, I'm looking. So is it the camera?
On the bottom of the nose, you see
Yeah.
the camera pod.
Roger, I don't see any wiper, but yeah, I guess, yeah, I see it.
There's a wiper for your windshield as well.
Okay, fair enough. Right, back to business. Where were we? Cam pressure wiper, cab heat is not
Well,
implemented.
cabin heat and gun cam motor actually not implemented.
Roger.
The engine control section, EG left and right, is very important. Those are the electronic engine gunners. You're gonna love those because they keep you from killing your engine as you would easily do in a Huey, for example.
Wonderful. Okay.
So it's basically impossible to kill the Ka-50 engines unless you try really hard.
Thank God. Okay, and then some tests, some things?
Yeah, so that's basically just the EG, the gas generator tests. You don't usually have to screw around with that.
Roger. Right, down and left, so we start with gyro by the looks of it. And no, something
Negative,
beacon.
you missed one switch. It's the anti-collision beacon to the left of that, which is the, big red turny light you'll have on a Vigan as well, for example.
Turning light, Roger, I love them. Next, gyro.
That basically just, I believe, is where your navigation system will get its heading from, but it's, gyro manual or magnetic heading.
Understood. A standby SAI on, what the hell?
Yeah, that's
That
powerful.
activates your SAI.
Exactly, it's the standby SAI, which is above the Abras, which is the shitty one anyway.
Roger, fine. DCS on, so what?
Yeah,
There's
those
not in
next
there.
switches are not actually implemented, and then we come to the
Blade
lighting
tip.
systems. So you have blade tip lights, yes, you have formation lights, and the ADI SAI, which is just the differential instrument, as is panel HSI ADI, and in the middle, the NVG one is just kind of a bluish weak floodlight you can use when you're using night vision goggles.
Right. Oh, I found the cockpit dials light. I can see the cockpit now, so that's pretty sick. That's my favourite one already. Okay, so we've exhausted that horrific panel. It's time to start a new horrific panel. So we go back to the beginning. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. What the hell is that piece of crap?
Alright, so in the Ka-50 you have 2 navigation systems. One of them is the Abras, which is the big screen in front, the moving map, which is GPS based, or satellite based at least. This panel controls the other navigation system, the PVI 800, which is an INU.
So this is navigation. You're telling me this is navigation?
This is navigation, yes.
Oh, okay, understood. Right down, we've got turning switches. Is this all to do with the same thing?
Yeah, this is all just navigation basically. So the first one sets up the mode you wanna use your navigation in. So off is obviously off. Check is if you want to use coordinates without actually changing your waypoint. Edit is if you want to put in new waypoints. Operational is more operational mode. And sim is actually to do a simulated flight, which you can do in the Ka-50, and it will fly at 1000 kph, I believe, simulated, so you can check whether your navigation program is reasonable. So it's, sanity check is what we call it.
Okay, fine. And then we've got in new update.
Yeah, that's in case you want to update your INU basically and fix it if it's drifted.
Understood.
It's a pain in the ass. Yeah, that's just data link power right there. Nav data link.
And then brightness.
And obviously in brightness knob.
Okay, down. What are we on now?
Alright, so the left one is a self ID. You can fly the Ka-50 in wings with data links. So you can actually see them on the moving map, and you can send data from one Ka-50 to another.
Nice.
This will allow you to set your own identity, so you will actually show up as a little tadpole with a number in it on the Ibris. And on the right side, you have a switch that basically sets the mode that your data link is in. So rec is only receive. You cannot actually send anything in this mode. It's also low emission mode, which should be helpful for stealth. Basically, it's not easy to pick you up then. Wingman and commander are both send and receive. They're fairly similar. The commander will primarily just show a ring around a double ring around the commander on the Ibris, so you actually know who he is.
And then data. No, sorry, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, that's just the name of the knob.
Okay, next autopilot.
Yes, exactly. So you have your bank, pitch, heading, and altitude hold autopilots, and the 4 blue buttons. The one blue button that's off to the right is your flight director. That one will basically allow you to override the autopilots and just leave the stabilization systems, so you can, you have more control of the aircraft, more maneuverability.
Roger, what are these two switches? Barometric and radar?
BRRD will basically switch your altitude hold autopilot from barometric to radiometric mode, or vice versa. So, whether it holds a barometric altitude or a radiometric altitude. The latter only works if you're below, I believe, 600 meters.
And DHDT, what's that?
Yeah, that's desired heading versus desired tracking, so that's for your nav system, basically. Whether it navigates you back onto the course line between your current and your previous waypoint, in case you've drifted off course, which would be desired track, or desired heading would just be directly towards the next waypoint.
Roger. Okay, next panel looks weird. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, there's a couple of weird things here. So you have your magnetic variation selection rotary, which is something I don't 100% understand myself, to be honest. It has something to do with magnetic fields.
It depends on where you are in the world. Yeah.
Exactly. So you will have to change. You actually have that in the Vegan as well, because basically it will, your compass will deviate to an extent, and you can count it with that.
So it's probably something we'll never use, though.
Yeah, no, you won't.
Right. So
It's pretty much negated by F10 in GPS.
okay, that's probably something. One tiny little thing I can cross off worrying about. Okay. Next panel, equally bit weird. What's the next panel?
The one to the right that says SHK scan. That is for your Schwal auto scan mode. So if you just want to look around without touching your controls much, you can set it to auto scan. It will automatically go left and right and look at the ground.
We've
That's
desynced.
just to set the scan speed.
We've desynced here. The one that was the weird one, that was the compass, I thought that was the SHK scan.
Negative.
was
The
the
magnetic
web-
variation, what you mean, is to the left of that, towards your thigh. That's a 006.
Oh right, so this one here is the magnetic radiation one, the turning knob, and let me just get its name up, magnetic variation. Okay, what's the Shook scan?
So that's the Schwal auto scan rate, basically. If you set your Schwal to automatically scan, it will just move left and right within a couple of degrees. And this is the scan rate, it's just the speed how quickly it goes back and forth.
Okay, and then there's a switch on the right that I can't really get a look at. Something.
Yeah.
North-south latitude selection.
Okay.
So basically it tells the system whether you are north or south of the equator.
Oh fuck me. Right, okay, that's useful for us then, isn't it? Okay, fine. Then a bunch of non-clickable stuff, so I don't suppose we're going to worry about that. IFF stuff, so no, we're not going to worry about that. Next panel down, guys, starting with volume. Is that radio?
Yeah,
What's this?
Well,
ADF radio.
exactly. So it's your automatic direction finder. There are several non-directional beacons around the map, which you can basically just track with that.
Understood. That's fine. Various adjusters there. How far does this panel go down and include bunch of non-clickable stuff. Yay, missed that.
Yeah, and then you come to your FM radio, which would usually be used between the helicopter and, for example, ground troops or something like that.
Is this the one with the big red cross?
Exactly.
Mhm.
You have just preset channels, and you can change your channels with the big red cross. One thing to note: after you change channels, you will have to press the tune button to actually really change your channel. Otherwise, it'll ignore it.
Roger. I mean, there's all this stuff superseded with our SRS fix, essentially.
Basically.
Good. Don't worry about it. A weird temperature thing or something. I'm trying to read temperature.
Temperature selected. It's just for cabin temperature, so you are nice and cozy.
Wow, aircon. Nice. Sweet. Right, we're continuing on our natural path. Cockpit panel lights brightness. This is my kind of panel, guys.
I think you missed something there, actually.
Yeah,
Down at
you
the
did.
radio panel. You have your signal flares. So the one switch there is just for the system power, and then you have signal flares in 4 different colors, which you can.
Oh my
adjust
god,
to
I did it!
emergency.
Oh, it won't stop. Oh, I'm gonna have some fun with this, boys. You can just tell that. Right.
Pretty cool.
So how does it work? You press it down and then push it up.
You
Yeah,
press the
just-
button and the flare shoots out.
And
Yeah.
that's it. You just got one per color.
All right. Okay. Weird, but fair enough. Bit 1770s, but
It's very Russian. The MiG-15 has the same stuff on a 21, I think, as well.
all right. Fair enough. Caps, beautiful light switches. These are my favourite parts of any plane because I can play with them without screwing anything up. That's good. Fine. Oh my god, what's this?
Well, above it you just have a bunch of circuit breakers, which are not even workable anyway.
Nothing here is modelled. I can see nothing's here.
Yeah, that's basically just an electric panel. 3 things on that panel. You can actually use the lighting auxiliary panel brightness knob and the lighting auxiliary panel switch, which are towards the top of that, to the right of that big black selector.
Copy. Fine. And let's head
As
up.
well as one switch that is very important to the right of that, which says Ekran Hit Trans Power. So that's Ekran, which is your warning system, power plant, hydraulics, and such power switch. You will absolutely need it for startup.
Give me strength. Right. Elec assist controls. We've got volts there. Is that volts on the left?
Yes,
And
the
as
right thing
amps?
would be ampere, I think. Yeah.
Sweet. And you can't press those buttons, so I can't do that. Right. We're heading up. We're getting there, guys. We are literally getting there. Oh my god. What's this? What's this?
Okay, so the L140 switch on your left is your laser warning system. You will get to that later on, get warnings when you're getting laced by usually ground things that will want to fire ETGMs in you. If you move to the right of that, you will find UE26, which is your countermeasure systems. You will have to turn that on. The test switch you can generally ignore, it's just a built-in test.
Okay. Then we're going up, and there's a big, horrible panel next. I don't know what any of this is about.
It's a quite nice panel, actually. You have 2 big black knobs, which are your ballistic selectors. So these will tell your weapon systems, or your computer rather, what weapons you have loaded, so it can calculate the correct ballistics.
Surely this should do it for you automatically.
No, it won't. It won't know what it actually has loaded otherwise.
God. Right. And then, okay, understood. So those are all the names of weapons and stuff. And then you got some switches like test.
Yeah, underneath you will find basically INU related switches here. Power switch and INU heat, just so it doesn't freeze. Test obviously another bit.
Okay, I don't look forward to using that, but fine. Next, hydraulic pressures or something. What's all this about?
Exactly, yeah, that's hydraulic pressures and temperatures.
So we've got backup, we've got main, ax. What's ac? That must be... No idea. Wheel brake.
Actually.
Let me see if it can tell me. No, it doesn't tell me. Standby main.
It's probably accessory hydraulic system.
Accessory hydraulic system. Right.
I don't know. It only has 2 hydraulic systems though. It's the standby and the main one, so I'm not sure.
So if something reads naught there, you're probably in trouble. Okay. Oh, we'll go up. This is like contortionist trying to look behind myself like this.
Yeah, everything above that is really not that important or not even implemented, so...
Yep.
Actually, hardly anything here is implemented. You have some injection system circuit selector, which is actually just for your ground crew to test stuff.
You missed the overhead panel as well.
We haven't done that
I
yet.
know I didn't
Rodney.
miss that. We're gonna go back to that. Don't worry about it.
Okay, yes, there's a couple of clicky bits at the top, but nothing I can see that's very important.
Yeah, that's
Windshield
nothing-
wipers.
Where's windshield wipers?
Yeah, chill out. Okay, so
Second one.
Oh, so is that the turning knob? Is that the turning knob?
the turning knob is a body ejection system. That's something actually just a ground crew will use, I believe, to test things.
Right, and where was the window wipers? I didn't see them.
The top left.
Is it... You're lying to me. Why would you lie to me, Skay?
I
It's
think,
on the, above your head.
yeah, he's already talking about the next panel.
Oh, I'm
So
not
some-
there,
Yeah.
Skay. I'm not there yet.
God damn.
Right, okay, so before we go, I should say there is an ejection handle there, but I can't pull it, thank God.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
There is also on the left of the seat there is a white lever, but I can't pull that either. That's probably for the best. Alright, so guys, let's go to the upper panel. Right, let's start on the left.
Right, so the first switch should be fairly obvious. It's the navigation lights. You can set them to different brightness settings.
There's nothing,
And
nothing obvious
the next-
at all. Are we on the left? Left lower?
left top.
Oh, hang on, I'm losing. Right, nav lights, okay. So, got nav lights. Yep, understood. Next, windshield.
The windshield wiper, which you're really gonna enjoy. So just to demonstrate, go quickly to your batteries. It should hopefully work. Yeah, there you go. On your right wall panel,
I've
very
already,
front.
already
it
turned my
should say
batteries on.
battery
Strong.
battery.
Yeah, already turned my batteries on.
Alright, so if your windshield wiper, if you want to turn it off, it might get stuck halfway across your windscreen, which can be annoying. So if you want to fix that, just hold right click on it, which will push the switch up, and it'll
Understood.
get out of the way.
Right, ooh, whooshed wash. What's that, windscreen wash?
Yeah, the windshield washers are not actually really implemented.
Okay, we'll get those one day, that'll be sick. Brightness control of what?
I'm not sure actually that's even implemented as well.
Okay, we don't think that does anything. Pitot heat,
well-
we want to know the importance of pitot heat.
Exactly, yeah, you want those obviously. Windshield heat is not a thing. Rotor anti-ice will be important when it gets cold. The switch to the right is your engine anti-ice as well as dust protection. So if you just want dust protection, you want to...
At the risk of opening up a can of worms, pitot heat, I've got STA, what's that, static? And what would ram air be? For pitot heat.
Ram air would be any air that's injected into the ramjet, I believe. So typically has something to do
There's
with
two
the
types of
area around the
pitot
engines.
air. So static pitot air is not like... So you know a standard pitot tube is that like that pokey thing. That's ram air. That is ram air. And then the static pitot tube is normally just... static pitot inlet is normally just a hole inside the aircraft. So that's for either one of those.
Right, so they're different types of pitot, aren't they then?
Yeah, so you have your AOA would be your angle of attack meter, for example. The right one also includes the very important clock heat switch.
Right, so hang on, I'm getting there, guys. So rotor anti-ice, do we ever use that?
Well, yeah, if it gets cold, you're gonna want to use that,
Okay.
but not otherwise because your engine might overheat.
Engine anti-ice or dust protection, fine.
Exactly. So if you flipped it down, you will just have dust protection. So obviously, so dirt doesn't get into your engines. If it's up, you will have dust protection and engine anti-ice. And the pitot heat test switch is just to see whether your pitot heat is actually on. You will have two green lights going off ideally.
Okay, just before we head down, I'm looking up vertically and there's a weird gauge right at the top. And I've seen
Yes,
this
you
somewhere.
found the outside air thermometer.
That's what it is, Sherman. We've got that on the Huey as well, haven't we? Outside air thermometer, and that is useful.
Yeah,
for a reason
all
I can't remember.
helicopters have them.
What's it trying to tell me then? It's 1 degree or something? No, times 10. It's 10 degrees. Telling me it's 10 degrees centigrade.
Yeah, 11 or so.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's go down the left a bit. We've got some green lights for press the
Yes.
button.
This is your data link.
Oh, for 5 minutes. Right.
Beautiful. This is what you're gonna use to send data both to your Abris as well as to your wingman, and obviously receive it as well.
Joy.
Underneath that you have your laser warning receiver. So this will light up and give you warning sounds when you're getting lased. These lights will come on and they will not go off again until you press the reset button. There are also several lights which will tell you whether it's in your... whether it's basically above you, below you, roughly co-altitude, whether the laser is just in range finding mode or whether it's actually in tracking mode, because apparently some lasers will be modulated after the weapon has been fired.
Roger. So that's that. Okay. And a bunch of yet more warning / indicator lights.
It's not just warning lights. It's mostly indicator lights. They will tell you things like whether you're in en route mode or in auto hover mode.
And there's a backup compass as well.
Yeah. Hello, compass.
Important.
I can read that kind. Okay, and then a bunch yet more indicator lights. Okay.
Yes, mostly engine indicators.
Sure, I'll be paying plenty of attention to that. And then finally, we come to
Your
weird
countermeasure system. You do not get chaff in this helicopter, or an RWR for that matter, so you won't know if a radar missile is being fired at you. But you do get flares, 128 of them, which you can set to quite complex programs if you feel like it. So you can basically...
So it's a little computer to put programs in for the countermeasures.
Exactly. So you can basically set it to which side you want to fire from, either left, right, or both. You can tell it how many flares you want to fire per salvo. You can tell it how many salvos you want to fire, and the delay between the salvos.
Okay, interesting. I like the way they've got start as a red button and stop as a green. Retard.
Yes.
Russians. Right, tell me that's it, chaps. Tell me that's it.
I believe that would be it, yes.
Well,
That is the very first video done.
I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I'm sure I'll memorise every single switch and button now. Remember, that's the Schwal. That'll do. I hope you enjoyed that. Next we'll be going into the cold start, but thank you very much, and we'll see you later.